Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on the very unsettled and stormy weather we do have that is going to continue over the next couple of days. We've got a big wall of rain moving in at the moment, and those winds are going to pick up through this evening, peaking in northern and western areas through tomorrow, where we do have various yellow warnings issued for rain and wind. Now we'll run through what those warnings are doing in a minute, and then we'll look at the UKV, have a look at the precipitation temperature and wind gusts over the next few days, and have a look at the longer range as we head into next week on the GFS, GEM, ECMWF and the ensembles. It is looking likely we're going to be going a lot warmer and a lot drier. It's looking highly likely a high pressure system is going to build in from Europe, giving us southerly or southeasterly winds, bringing up a pretty warm air mass. Temperatures likely to be at least in the mid to high teens widely, perhaps even into the low or even mid-20s. And yesterday we did see the GM was pulling up a very warm southerly wind, a sort of a Spanish plume pattern for April. Nowhere near as warm or hot as we can see later in the summer, but for this time of year, a very warm air mass, and there is still the potential that we're going to be seeing that. We're just going to have to decipher how warm it's going to get next week, as we are pretty sure now it will be at least warm and dry for many. So remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. If you start on the live radar, you can see this big wall of rain which is moving from the west at the moment eastwards, and you can see it's giving quite a bit of heavy rain in places. You can see where the rain is not, and that is where we are seeing the centre of the low here, just to the south of Ireland, and that's where we can see those strongest winds moving in as this system moves slowly northwards and eastwards. The Far East earlier today was pretty decent, a lot of sunshine, blue skies through the morning, but the cloud has increased through the afternoon, and now we've got rain starting to fall quite widely, and it's going to be miserable for most through the rest of today, through overnight and into tomorrow, where we won't see as much in terms of persistent rain, but we'll see a lot of heavy and even thundery showers out there, along with those very, very strong blustery winds. Now, do put on the temperatures as of around 3:30. You can see it is still warmest in the east, where we're still hanging on to some glimpses of sun, but under that cloud and rain which is moving in with cold air masses, those temperatures are struggling down towards the high single digits, maybe only 7 to 9 degrees in places where we've got the cloud and rain falling right now. So it's going to be cool, if not pretty cold, over the next few days, and there is the risk over some higher routes to even see a bit of snow, as we do see some Arctic air dig in. It is, of course, the middle of April, so it's not particularly cold, but it could be cold enough at times to see, as I said, some winteriness over some of the higher routes. And to low-lying areas, you can't even rule out, or to moderate hills, sorry, you can't even rule out a bit of sleet or hail within some of these showers tomorrow into Thursday as well. So yeah, really not too great over the coming days. Now, if you look at the weather warnings, we do have currently a rain warning issued for Northern Ireland into parts of southern Scotland. Has been issued earlier today, and it's from 3 p.m. this afternoon until midnight tonight. Again, 20 to 30 millimetres expected in a few hours, 30 to 40 millimetres possible over higher ground, and dry weather will develop across Northern Ireland early this evening, and southwest Scotland towards midnight. So still rain falling at the moment, and the warning just kicking about 45 minutes ago from the time I'm recording this, and that is expected through the rest of the evening. High likelihood, lower end of the impact matrix. We've got another wind warning that was updated earlier today, and it was reduced in size and has been removed from Northern Ireland, southwest England, and much of southern Wales, as we've got a separate warning for tomorrow for that. So Met Office has refined their timeline of the strongest winds in these areas. As you can see here, 45 to 50 miles per hour, possible inland, 60 around some Irish Sea coast, and there's a chance of a short-lived spell of very strong winds affecting parts of Cumbria and or Dumfries and Galloway through this evening, with inland gusts of 55 to 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour along coasts. High likelihood, lower end of the impact matrix. Again, we have a look at Wednesday. We do have a wind warning for Northern Ireland now, so 11 a.m. tomorrow until 8 p.m. tomorrow. Again, issued earlier today, 45 to 50 miles per hour inland, 60 along the northern coast, higher end of the likelihood, lower end of the impact matrix, and again, another warning for wind through southern and southwestern areas. Again, Been updated from yesterday, again from 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. tomorrow. Again, 40 to 50 miles per hour, could see 60 to 70 miles per hour, and of course there'll be some outbreaks of heavy rain and showers along with it. High likelihood, the highest likelihood you can get, but still lower end of the impact. So you could see how if this system was slightly stronger, 5 to 10 miles per hour stronger, we could see some amber warnings issued for this, but fortunately it hasn't strengthened as much as some runs were showing earlier this week, or earlier through the weekend and into last week. But still, it is a severe system. Stormy weather is still likely in all these areas, seeing yellow warnings and elsewhere, generally blustery conditions. So make sure you keep alert and make sure you don't take any unnecessary risks out there with these very strong wind gusts. 70 miles per hour is still strong enough to damage garden furniture, move things around, and take down some trees. So do be cautious out there over the next day or two. So now have a look at the UKV, look at the precipitation and the temperature over the course of the next 5 days. Now you can see that rain moving in at the moment, big wall of rain moving in, and it should clear through this evening. So by many, for the morning, it should be a bit drier. However, you can see a lot of these heavy, thundery, blustery showers moving in, and some pinks within this, so some snow developing in places. As we head beyond that, continued risk of some very heavy, maybe thundery showers, and of course some wintriness mixing in through the morning. You can see the centre of the low now sat over Southern Ireland, sort of spirals over the top of us and perhaps develops into multiple small areas of lower pressure within it. So uncertain exactly with this, but whenever we do see those areas, we will see some quite heavy showers and precipitation in general around it. As that clears through, we'll see some quite heavy rain through the afternoon, spreading eastwards, quite showery, on and off, but blustery underneath it, and again, some wintriness over Northern Hill. So Wednesday, not a washout, but still really quite unsettled in places with a lot of on and off rain. You may get lucky to miss out on rain for much of the day if you're in the far east, but most areas will see some heavy rain at times. It's just about dodging that and trying to see some sunshine through parts of the afternoon. Now, if we head beyond that into Thursday, it will remain fairly blustery through the day and some showers developing, but not anything too severe. So starting to ramp down a bit, but as we head into Friday, another area of rain to skirt the south coast. Could give some heavy rain there for a time through Friday afternoon, even coming inland into parts of the Midlands as well, pepping up there again. Need to keep an eye on that because it could mean quite a miserable day there from quite a small system impacting England and Wales there. Beyond that, though, you can see as we head into the weekend, it does start to turn a little bit drier. Still some rain in the north, but you can see it does fizzle out, doesn't intensify at all, and that because the pressure is rising, and it's going to start to turn a lot warmer and drier into next week. You can see already by Sunday, warmer upper air temperatures starting to waft up from the south, and that's because higher pressure is starting to build in during a southerly or southwesterly wind. And as I said, that pressure is not too high at this stage, but as we head into Monday, Tuesday, that pressure will rise quite significantly and could get very warm and very dry. Now, if you do look at the wind gusts, you can see through the rest of today, 50, 60 miles per hour, as expected by the warnings, maybe peaking at 70 miles per hour in a few spots. But it's just this widespread, very gusty, blustery feel out there, stormy in places. And you see the wind gusts really pepping up through southern parts of Ireland, parts of the southwest through tomorrow into the afternoon. Could be quite strong there, 50, 60 miles per hour, even inland. So I'm surprised the yellow wind warnings are not. I'm surprised it's so confined to the south coast and not a little bit more widespread through parts of Wales and England. You can see through parts of East Anglia and the Midlands, 50 or 60 miles per hour. That's very strong for inland areas. Again, we've seen amber or even red warnings issued for these regions, seeing 70 or 80 mile per hour gusts. So I am surprised we haven't seen a widespread yellow issued for this, but we will have to see. Could be issued at very short notice. And of course, UKV is one run, and the Met Office with their warnings have to take into account various other runs as well. So maybe the UKV is on the stronger end of the spectrum, more around that 30 to 40 mile per hour point. But we will have to see. Just remember, it will be very blustery regardless of where you are through tomorrow. Eventually those winds will die down through the rest of Wednesday into Thursday. Thursday's still a gusty feel out there, a little bit blustery, 30 mile per hour gusts, maybe 40 in a few spots, but generally quite a bit lower. Now, if you finish by just looking at the max temperatures, you can see through this afternoon we have rain, really cool, 7 to 9 degrees. We have a bit of sunshine in the east, 12 or 13. As we progress beyond that tonight, could drop down towards freezing a few spots. We have some clearer skies, and into Wednesday afternoon in general. Look at that, it's really quite cool. We've got that showery areas of rain, only sort of 6 to 8 degrees at best, maybe 9 or 10 in a few spots with a bit of sunshine. And you can see across parts of Northern England and Scotland, we've got some heavier precipitation, some elevation, not getting much above freezing. Really quite chilly there as cold air does wrap in from the north. As we head into Thursday morning, again, quite cold in places, and into the afternoon, again, 10 to 12 degrees. So still pretty chilly, but slowly climbing back up. Into Friday, again, a cold night, maybe only 2 or 3 degrees in some areas in the south, so really chilly for the time of year. And into Friday afternoon, still really quite cold as that rain does spread through in central areas. Again, this can change, could jump up a good 5 degrees here if we don't see that rain. But if that rain does spread in, it will be quite a miserable day, between 6 to 8 degrees, really not too nice. And finally into Saturday, you can see again cold overnight into the afternoon, recovering a bit, 12 to 15 degrees, and then into Sunday we'll do similar to that as we do start to build in high pressure and generally warmer conditions. So we're going to have a look at the longer range, go through the latest GFS, GM, ECMWF, and the ensembles. You can see the westerly flow at the moment with very unsettled stormy conditions moving in over the coming days. More lows moving in for Wednesday, again uncertain how strong that low pressure system will be on Friday, but we will have to see. Into the weekend and start of next week, you can see the big high pressure system building in and a southerly or easterly flow developing. Again, generally quite warm air masses wafting up from the south for most of next week. Very likely now we'll see 20 degrees in a few spots, perhaps quite widely, and even as high as 25 degrees on some of the warmest runs we have at the moment. However, into the longer range, we do see a bit of a flattening of that, but still high pressure tries to hang on, so there will be some rain at times and some cooler air masses, but equally we would still see some warmer and dry conditions as well. So not bone dry beyond sort of next working week from this latest GFS run, but still not too unsettled. So if we do look at the 850 HPA temperatures, you can see the 10 degree isotherm attempts to move in next week, does get in perhaps the far southwest through Wednesday into Thursday, so pretty warm there before eventually gets swept away a bit. So a bit of a Spanish plume there with the warm air moving up from Spain, but not quite directly impacting all areas as the GEM had yesterday. You can see that by looking at the temperature deviation, getting to around 6 to 8 degrees above average, maybe 10 degrees above average in a few spots, but not the sort of 10 to 12 degrees above average, which is still hanging down in the Bay of Biscay and down towards Portugal and Spain. So not the hottest there, doesn't quite get our way, but still very warm, a good 6 to 8 degrees above average for the time of year. Really, really quite decent. As I said, that warmer air does eventually get swept away, and we do go into some cooler, fresher air masses from the west, but still high pressure building in and upper air temperatures around that 5 degree point, so still could see mid to high teens with this, so still could be fairly pleasant beyond that through the rest of April, as we still have a high pressure hanging on, but still uncertainty over how much cooler, more unsettled sort of conditions could try and push in from the Atlantic. If we do look at the GM run now, you can see again very unsettled over the next couple of days. High pressure builds in through the weekend with that southerly push of air. Very warm there all the way up until day 10. You can follow those isobars back. An incredibly warm air mass moving up from the south. The 10 degree isotherm does get in here, and this would be quite a bit warmer than the GFS here. So GM continue its trend of being one of the warmest runs. Again, the 10 degree isotherm consuming most areas, perhaps even the 15 degree isotherm flirting with parts of northern France and maybe even parts of the UK. Very interesting seeing that at day 10. Again, it sort of dominates for a good 4 or 5 days, so those temperatures will have an opportunity to build. So very warm there. Again, you can see the upper air temperatures, temperature deviation, 10 to 12 degrees above average. Not quite as widespread as yesterday, but more long-lived with that sort of 10 degree above average sort of air sitting around us for a good 4 or 5 days there. Very, very warm. Some would even call it, for April, a bit of a heat wave there and a bit of a Spanish plume moving up. A good, 10 degrees above average for the time of year. Again, it's not out of the ordinary to see in the 20s, but something this high, perhaps the mid-20s with this, would be pretty unusual and would be very warm. We can actually have a look at those 2 metre temperatures. Again, you can see around 6 p.m. on Thursday, the 20th of April, 22 degrees, and you expect by 3 or 4 p.m. earlier in the day, it'd be a few degrees higher. And you can see those temperatures just really quite warm for the whole period. Again there, 22 degrees on the 19th, If we go back to the 80s with that raw warm air rise, once again 22 degrees, 23 degrees at 6 p.m. So once again, you can add a few degrees onto that for the 3 or 4 p.m. temperature, as by 6 p.m. it is starting to cool down. So we are looking at here for a good 3 days plus of 25-degree maxes. So very, very warm and really quite dry as well, really quite decent for the time of year. If we do have a look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare. Again, the big westerly flow coming at the moment, very unsettled and very stormy. High pressure built in from Europe. Southerly wind develops. Perhaps more of an east to southeasterly here. So perhaps slightly cooler coming in off the near continent, but still relatively warm. We have a look at those upper air temperatures above average at least. And you can see as we head towards day 10, we do see some low pressure getting wrapped up within the warmer air. And this could fuel a lot of thunderstorms. It's a typical pattern that can fuel a lot of thunderstorms. Generally, in the summer months, we have the air mass is maybe 5 to 10 degrees warmer than this, so we wouldn't see any classic summer thunderstorms, but we could see quite a few as the low pressure does get wrapped up in some warm, humid air. You can see the temperature deviation is warmer than average to the east of that low, and for quite a period here for the ECMWF. Not quite as warm as the GM, and probably slightly lower than the GFS, but still above average, still generally very dry, all the way to day 10 when we do start to see that low pressure influence and perhaps some thundery weather with that. If you finish by looking at the ensembles, you can see, if we look at the latest GFS first, again you can see that big rise in upper air temperatures over the coming few days. As we head to the weekend, the upper air temperatures spike towards 5 to 10 degrees and could be slightly higher in a few spots, and last all the way to sort of the 22nd, 23rd before cooling more down towards average. Quite a decent dry spell there from around the 15th onwards. About 5-6 days of near enough bone dry conditions for the majority of ensemble members before some precipitation starts to return, but still nothing too significant. Again, you see the sea level pressure is really quite high, getting towards 1025 millibars, so reasonably high pressure there. And the 2 meter temperatures, you can see peaking around the mid to high teens widely from the ensemble members, in some getting into the low 20s. Of course, low resolution, so some of the high resolution runs will probably add a couple of degrees to this. You can see the operational run, the GFS run, which as I said is sort of middle of the road, is showing 5 days or so of consecutive sort of 18 to 21 degrees there. So really quite warm, and again, locally could be a couple of degrees higher. And again, if we finish by looking at the ECMWF ensembles, again, very warm and very dry, very similar to the GFS. Slightly more precipitation there in that dry period, but of course there's more ensemble members, so slightly more uncertainty. And you can see the majority of runs are towards that 5 degree at 850 HP range, a good 5 degrees above average, and some getting as high as 10 degrees or more than average. So really quite warm and dry. Some precipitation again appearing for the last week of April, but once again can't look at that in too much detail simply because it is still so far away and uncertainty does start to build in there. So the sort of the headlines is we've got very stormy, unsettled conditions over the coming days, but can you believe it, into next week is looking to be a lot warmer and a lot drier, perhaps with a bit of a Spanish plume coming up, or at least generally warmer, dry conditions, with temperatures likely to be reaching 20 degrees in some spots. And again, if we do see that very warm air mass that some runs have been hinting at, specifically the GM in the last couple of days, we could get temperatures as high as 25 degrees or maybe slightly higher than that. So we will have to see, but if you don't like the stormy, unsettled, cold weather we have right now, it is going to be a lot warmer and a lot more like summer come next week. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.